Peace and assalamu alaikum, everybody. Out here chilling with the rain like I love it, but I can't get in my garden on my day off that I don't love. So, whilst I am driving to Lowe's or Home Depot to get me some more soil and things, I wanted to tell you a little story. So, I, work in long-term care. I'm in assisted living right now, and so I don't know what goes on the skilled part of the building. Skilled being, the part of nursing homes where they the part of nursing homes that you probably think about when you think of nursing home, people who need a whole lot of help in, doing things, their usual activities that you do, day to day, eating, washing, ambulating, all that kind of thing. Where I work in assisted living, you're not supposed to have those type of people there, but we most definitely do. We have a whole lot of people who should be on skill. But nonetheless, they are all white folks. And so they're elders. They grew up during a certain time, and but they, for the most part, they have little quirks. Even the ones who have dementia and want to hit you and cuss you out. They're cool. I like them. So there's this one woman who I'm not going to tell too much about her business per HIPAA, but suffice to say, she has physical difficulties, and also she can speak, but I take it it takes a lot of energy for her to speak in full sentences and such, so she doesn't really talk too much. She'll point and stuff, but she still get her little attitude through, honey, let me tell you. She the aide complains about how she is. She, she has her ways. And on top of that, where she is, the floor she lives on is for the more affluent people. So there's that. So she doesn't, I wouldn't say she's unfriendly necessarily, but she's not friendly. She's not trying to kick it with you and none of that kind of thing. But more than that, for instance, I came to see if she's ready for her medicine, because when I came earlier, she was just very grunting and pointing and I'm like, what? Trying to figure out. Not calling her a dog, anything like that. But you know how Lassie, when they were what do you mean, boy? That type of thing. So I'm trying to freaking figure out what she mean. And again, she can speak, she just won't. And so, she didn't want her meds at that time. She wanted me to come back. So okay, cool. So when it was time for her next dosages, rather than popping them and bringing them to her, I went to see if she was ready for them, and she was just like, no. Okay, well, when do you want them? 15 minutes. I'm like, damn, it's a tough crowd. So I took longer than that and came in, so she was already in bed and she was watching television. Now let me tell you again, I guess I can say this. She used to be a lawyer, I was told. So one of the other residents was like, have you been into that room yet? Yeah, she used to be a lawyer. She thinks she knows everything type of thing. And so I'm just going to take for granted that she was a lawyer. We have a lot of, they're elders. Doesn't mean they didn't have lives. They weren't homeless. They were contributing citizens, you know what I'm saying? So I'm drawing this out. So I come back, she's in her bed, all nice and tucked in, watching PBS. and their commercials coming on. So all of a sudden she goes, like pointing to the TV, like look type of thing. So I look, and it's a commercial because PBS is they're premiering a documentary about the massacre at Tulsa, Oklahoma, what people call Black Wall Street. So I look and I'm like, oh yeah, Tulsa. And she says, and she starts to speak, and you can tell it's like taking some energy, but she had to say this for her, you know. She says, and she's looking like flabbergasted, like, I just learned about this 3 years ago. Like, I had no idea. And I said, like, yeah, they call it Black Wall Street. She's like, yeah, like, I had no idea about this. So sort of like to say, I guess, like, how the freak have I been on this earth this long and I don't know about this? How can I not know about this? And then again, going with the whole information that she was a lawyer. How the hell? I'm a lawyer. What I do is study. You know what I'm saying? How did I not know about this? And you know, so we just kicked it a little bit, and I was like, yeah. I said, you know, a lot of people are just not learning about this because this and a whole lot of other things, because it's been, you know, listen, a lot of this stuff is just now popping up because, I mean, it's the time for it. There's a space for it, so it's coming out. Most people in this country didn't know about Tulsa. I was blessed to know about Tulsa and a lot of other things because I just came up around, like, you know, conscious or whatever people. I am a bookie, you know, I've always read and things like that. I've just always, fortunately, was blessed to have access to Black history, African American history. Not only the stuff they teach in the public school, Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King, Oprah Winfrey, Rosa Parks, stuff like those people. But my life has always left me to have those things in excess. So, but in saying that, you know, I told her that, you know, a lot of people didn't know about it. But now that we do know about it, you know, is what we do with that. Those of us who want to come together, move past it, in a sense, not forget, but to move forward together. For those of us who want to work together, make this a whole better country and all that sort of thing, we can come together. All those who don't want to, jump off. Go ahead, do whatever you want to do, but we're not dealing with you. We're going to handle this. We're going to try to make this shit right. So she's just looking and she's like, yeah, you know, but just kind of funny, like the contrast between that her and the earlier her. And but I say all this to say, the reason I bring this up is to say, I know there's this strong narrative, certainly among African American people, that, you know, especially online, right? Everybody just want to have this, white people are racist, white people don't like us, white people don't want anything for us, you know, cultural appropriation, like everything is negative, you know what I mean? And then the other side of that coin is that, in my opinion, black people in particular, Black American people who actually feel incredibly inferior, are constantly trying to prove to white people, essentially, that they are not inferior, which to me just shows that you feel inferior, because who gives a shit about what white people think? Excuse me in my seller's tongue. But what I kind of want to suggest is that that's just not so. It's just not so. all white people don't want bad for black people or people of color. They just don't. All white people don't recognize they have privilege or whatever because they work just as hard as anybody else. You know what I'm saying? They work for what they get. They don't understand that there are laws that from generations ago that they don't even realize are in place benefit them. It's not that they want bad for other people. They just don't want to give up what they have. Who the hell would? If the shoe was on the other foot, if black people had the upper hand, you can bet your life if we were anything like we are now, we also would not want to give up anything. It's just how it is. Most humans, I think, in my observations over 49 years, most humans are not sharers. They are not community oriented. Not these days. They're not community oriented. They want. We, this society here in the States at least, are very individualistic. We want what we want when we want it. We don't give a damn who is going to hurt as long as we get what we want. Even when I see black American people, I think a lot of us have that same attitude, because when you I can't tell you how many times I've seen online where you have blacks saying, don't nobody, we ain't including Native Americans in no reparations. They already got their land and stuff, which is a freaking lie. That alone tells you don't read and you don't know a damn thing what you're talking about. But not true. They don't want anything for Haitians. They don't want anything for whoever. They're about self. How is that different than the white folks that you talk about? Ain't different at all. You are the same way. So don't I would suggest to not be so ready to assume that all white people have negative intentions for black people or people of color. It could just be that they don't know. And when given the opportunity, they want it. They want to soak it up. How in the hell have I lived in this country and not known these things happen? They just don't know. But let's be honest, most black people didn't know either until Lovecraft Country came on and started talking about Tulsa. And I was like, what's that? That's true? That happened? Oh, let me Google Tulsa. Most of y'all didn't know about Tulsa. Most of us don't know about most black history or significant history to, us and our people. So don't just take for granted that, again, all white people or most white people don't have good intentions for blacks. They may just not know. And so instead of all of us fighting each other all the time, because that adrenaline, that's as good as sex, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people like arguing and causing a ruckus because it makes them feel good. But what is it accomplishing? Like nothing. So if they stop coming at black people, I'm saying they, like generally, white folks generally, not specifically, I mean like individually. But if they would stop coming at black people, making it seem like all black people are drug dealers, all black women are whores, all black, all these kind of things, and we stop coming at them with all white people are racist, all white people have privilege, and they're just intentionally don't want anybody else to have anything, all white people are this or that. We need to communicate with one another, yo. And I mean, I already knew this is no revelation, but that situation with my resident just brought it back to me. It made me want to make this long behind video about it, like sometimes you never know what a person's story is. Like seriously, you never know what a person's story is, and you never know what's in someone's mind, who they are. Definitely not, just from a very superficial meeting or what have you. And of course, the agenda, this blacks against whites, whites against black agenda is constantly being pushed, I think, on social media especially, because you have like the crazy Karens and stuff like that, which, true, some of them need to be shook till they shut the fuck up. Excuse me. But, you know, TikTok and all these places showing, you know, a white woman most of the time getting into somebody's face and she getting slapped and all this kind of thing. It's just building it and building it and building it. And I think it's more than showing stuff that's going on and bringing people's attention to it. More than that, I think it is prompting more and more violence and more aggression, more and more agitation and frustration and everything. When if we would just sit down and try to give one another the benefit of the doubt. Much harder said than done, right? But I'm saying in theory, I think it would make for a much better place. And then we could probably see who the real enemies are, which is the damn government. Okay? Not us. The people, we can be able to get it together if we would take the initiative to get it together. And then we could focus on what's really being done to poor people in this country. It's about poor folks they're screwing over altogether. But as long as we keep fighting each other and thinking it's you, no it's you, no it's them over there, those damn immigrants and all this, let's cut it out, get it together. Much easier said than done, but then we can focus on making things better. But first step is communication, and us not moving, blacks, whites, and all others in between, us moving forward and from a place of communication and understanding. It doesn't have to be agreeing with each other, because I'm gonna tell you, most women, we can have issues with each other, but we can sit down and see the big picture and come up with something. How many women then had their man cheat and go out there and make a baby, and or either he already had children, and the women may not be able to, they can't stand each other, but the bigger picture is we got these babies and their siblings, they need to know their sisters and brothers. So yeah, I'll meet you at the damn park, you know, stuff like that. We can move. We have the tendency as women, generally speaking, to move past certain things, certain obstacles, and at least push them to the side momentarily while we deal with the issue at hand or the bigger issue and, you know, the long run. I know people, especially you men, like to say like, all women just emotional and y'all can't think logically, and that's a bunch of BS. I can't stand when guys say that, because men are like so emotional, number one, and two, if women were really that emotional, we have like 75% of y'all men no longer on the earth, because we get so pissed off and just take you out. So that whole idea of women being super emotional, it's just not so. So, and whatever emotion we have, you need to be thanking your God, because again, you could not be here if we weren't logical and just said, damn it to hell, let's handle this now, I ain't got to deal with this mofo no more. You'll be a lot worse off for it. But anyway, yeah, y'all, that's for our own selves. Don't worry about the whole picture right now. The little seeds is what's going to grow the garden. So, for your own lives, for your own selves, maybe make intention to, you know, whatever, not jump the gun or not make assumptions about people straight away, because they may just not know. All white people, you know, when they say or act certain things, it's not that they're being dumb or being disrespectful or being rude. They just don't know. And one thing I do know about white people that I've been privy to in my life, they will ask you a question. So when they ask, don't, you know, think they're trying to be disrespectful, just answer. And vice versa, white people. Black people don't always know. We don't know. When I moved up to Pennsylvania, I just knew, because I grew up around black people. I just knew white people loved the cold. Then I moved to PA. They would complain like, God, can they cut down this damn AC? And I'm like, you don't like the cold? So we don't know either. We don't know you either. We just have all these, you know, stereotypes and contradictions. Yeah, let's just try to do this, y'all, individually, and hopefully it'll make everything better in the long run. Peace. Love y'all.